Good morning. I haven't tried this out before. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming to this commemoration of the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And thank you, Henry Cropsey, for playing our Amazing Grace on your bagpipes. That was a good introduction to our ceremony. To begin with, I would like to invite the Rabbi Mark Shapiro, Reverend Michael Bennett, Father Derek Fetz, and Father Francis Riley to come forward.
A prayer. For those who went into danger, we give thanks. For those who remain behind with the infirm and the injured, we give thanks. For those who thought of others first, we give thanks.
For those who offered comfort to others, we give thanks. For moments of unknown, grant us courage. In times of fear, grant us courage.
When called upon to stand for the rights of others,
Grant us courage.
when others call for our destruction,
Grant us courage.
when the enemies of freedom lash out,
Bless us with your peace.
When the darkness of hatred descends,
Bless us with your peace.
when we feel the urge to trample and destroy,
Bless us with your peace.
when we look to the future of your universe.
Bless us with your peace.
Amen.
Amen.
And now I'd like to invite the Scout Troop 90 under the leadership of Scoutmaster Gottsman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Lyrics Choir, which in this second week of school is already prepared, will now sing the national anthem. Join in if you
Please
would like
join
to.
us. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glares from unbursting ignite gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. How's this working? Is it reaching to the back? Yes and no. Okay. I am Mary Rogness. I'm emceeing their short program today. My thanks to the individuals, the townspeople who put it together in a short time frame. It's simple. First of all, let me introduce some dignitaries who are here. State Representative Brian Ash, Superintendent Doyle. There are other elected officials, but I don't know who all of them are, so I'm just going to say other town officials are here, and the scout troop, the lyrics, and the safety representatives from Longmeadow. One who does deserve special notice is Longmeadow Police Department Sergeant Albano, who, in addition to being a sergeant on the Longmeadow Police Force, is also a Chief Petty Officer in the Navy. He served in Afghanistan and was the only member of the Navy to receive last year the prestigious George Van Cleese Award for his service in the Navy to our nation. Thank you, Sergeant. And now for a few remarks, we have the head of our select board member, Mark Gold.
Thank you, Mary, and welcome to those of you who have gathered here on the Longmeadow Green on the anniversary of the terrorist attack of September 11th, 2001. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the organizers of this service. We've gathered here to fulfill a promise made 10 years ago and to honor the memory of those whose lives were lost in New York, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. The promise we are fulfilling is the promise made in 2001 that we would not forget what happened that September morning, that we would not forget our mothers and fathers, daughters and sons, and husbands and wives whose lives were taken on that day by an act of terror inflicted upon us by people who oppose our values, our way of life, and the freedoms upon which this country was founded. That we will not forget those acts of terrorism and the need for continuous vigilance. Our presence here also pays tribute to those who serve the public safety every day, those whose job it is to go toward situations that the rest of us are taught to flee. There were many lessons that were learned as a result of the events of September 11, 2001, among which is the reminder that we need to be continuously vigilant against those who oppose our way of life and want to harm us. But we also learned some things about ourselves. On that day, we learned that our freedoms will not be abridged in the face of terror threats. Our constitutional rights will not be compromised as we investigate terror plots. Our way of life will not be altered by the fear of terrorist acts. Our belief in the equality of all people will not be a victim of our pursuit of terrorists. Our democratic ideals will not be abandoned as we bring terrorists to justice, and our ideals shall prevail in a world where terrorists seek to impose their standards upon us. It's appropriate that we gather here on the Longmeadow Green because for over 300 years, people have been meeting at this location to remember the sacrifices of others and to defend the founding principles of this nation. The plaques that have been placed on this green are not only memorials to those whose lives were lost in defense of our nation's principles, but they serve as reminders that there's a cost to our American ideals. I'm privileged to be carrying on the tradition of our predecessors and helping to honor our fellow Americans whose lives were lost 10 years ago and pay tribute to the heroes who work every day to keep our community secure. Longmeadow was founded by people who cherish the freedoms that we meet here today to confirm. As we gather to remember those whose lives were lost and honor the heroes who serve us every day, let us renew our pledge that was made 10 years ago that we will never forget.
Thank you, Mark. And now for a few words, we have the police chief, Chief Robert Ciano.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. I just want to say a few historical perspectives regarding today. So that we never forget, on December 8th, 1942, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said to a joint session of Congress that December 7th, 1941, would be a date that would live in infamy after Japan launched an air assault on Pearl Harbor. Almost 60 years later, 4 airliners crashed into buildings in New York City, Washington, D.C., and then a field in Pennsylvania. Shortly thereafter, President George Bush said, "These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat, but they have failed. Our country is strong. Terrorist acts can shake the foundations of our tallest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America." Since that fateful day on December 11th, 2001, we learned many lessons, some positive, others not so. We learned that we were not immune to the chaos and devastation wrought by extremists who wish to inflict harm on the innocent. We learned that our nation's security infrastructure was vulnerable, and we needed to become more vigilant for those who wish to do us harm. We realized that increased security measures and a sharing of vital information and intelligence was also vital to our survival. So we shall never forget, here is in 911 in New York City by the numbers. 9:46 and 9:02 a.m., time when the Twin Towers were struck by airliners. Time the burning tower stood 56 minutes and 102 minutes. Time they took to fall, 12 seconds. Total people killed, 2,819. Police officers killed, 72. That was the deadliest day in the history of law enforcement in the United States. Firefighters and paramedics killed, 343. Number of fire department vehicles destroyed, 98. Number of tons of debris removed from the site, 1,506,124 tons. Number of children who lost a parent, 3,051. Number of people who lost a spouse or a partner, 1,609. Percentage of Americans who knew someone hurt or killed in the attacks, 20%. Longmeadow was not immune to those attacks. Jean Roget was a flight attendant on American Airlines Flight 11 that took off from Boston and was the first airliner to crash into the World Trade Centers. Let us never forget. The terrorists continued in their attempts to kill our citizenry. On December 22nd, 2001, Richard Reed, the infamous shoe bomber, attempted to light an explosive in his sneaker. August 10th, 2006, a terrorist plot to use liquid explosives was uncovered and stopped before it took down several aircraft flying in from Europe. On Christmas Day, 2009, a terrorist attempted to light a plastic explosive sewn in his underwear while flying in a plane over Detroit. Fortunately, they never detonated, and he was subdued by passengers on the flight. Let us never forget. We must not let ourselves get complacent by believing it can never happen here. All citizens have a role to assist in the safety and well-being of our community. Please help your local law enforcement protect you and your neighbors. Your police department is here to protect and serve, but we can't be everywhere at once. Call us immediately whenever you see something suspicious or something that looks out of place. Your assistance will ensure that we have a safe and secure place in which to live. Thank you, and let us never forget.
Thank you, Chief, and let me express on behalf of everyone here our appreciation for the work that you in the police department and that the fire department does every day to protect us. To show the difficult work that the fire department does, I talked with our next speaker, and he said he hoped to be able to speak, but at the beginning of our service, the 2 ambulances were both down at Bay State. There was very limited coverage at the station. He might have to leave. Well, I understand at least 1 ambulance is now back, so we will have Captain Andy Fraser as our next speaker.
Thank you, Mary. We are often asked in public safety, what has changed for you since 9/11? While it would take too long to detail all the things that have changed, I want to mention the 4 areas that I feel are the most significant. Number 1 is the creation of the National Incident Management System, better known as NIMS. Prior to 9/11, there was no standard management plan for disasters where all the emergency services work at the same time. Envision Major League Baseball teams trying to play a game, each using their own set of rules. Now, all the emergency services, fire, police, EMS, and others, operate under the same commonly understood, practiced rules and procedures. Second is equipment and training. A large amount of federal and state resources has gone into preparing local departments to respond to potential terrorist situations. Some examples in Longmeadow are the purchase of radiation detection equipment, the purchase of equipment to deal with suspicious or white powder calls, as we refer to them. Incidentally, we responded to dozens of these sort of calls in the months after 9/11. And also joint police fire training exercises, which are very beneficial. Third, information sharing. As Chief Ciano said in his remarks, information is vital to our survival. Nothing could be more true. Information on potential threats and other related terrorist activities is now exchanged between all levels of law enforcement and the fire service on a regular basis. Prior to 9/11, very little of this occurred. Fourth is regional response. As you can imagine, no city or town is staffed or equipped to handle everything that could occur within their borders. Each local fire and police department understands they must be ready to help their neighboring departments when the need arises. Some recent examples are, in April, Longmeadow firefighters were called to respond to the police car dealership in West Springfield with our regional foam trailer and equipment to assist with a flammable liquid explosion and fire that resulted in a fatality. Firefighters from Longmeadow also worked in Wilbraham and West Springfield after the June tornado. We were also called again to Wilbraham for the microburst in July. These are just a few examples. I would also like to take a moment to recognize the excellent working relationship the fire and police department have in this town. After 25 years in the fire service, I've talked with many people from many other fire departments, and very few are as fortunate as we are to have such a good working relationship. In closing, I would like to say thank you to the committee for organizing this event, and thank you to all of you for taking the time to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. You may have noticed while you're watching the front here that there is a wreath a memorial wreath that was donated by Floral Fantasies. After the ceremony today, it will be carried and transported over to the fire department to stay in position there in front of the 9/11 memorial that is in front of the fire department in Longmeadow. Now, September 11th changed our country forever, and it changed each one of us. Today we remember the horrific attack and the honor and resilience that the nation showed in response. We wanted, when putting this program together, to do something that had a bit of permanence to it. And with that in mind, we arranged through the DPW and Mike Rabel to have a tree planted, a memorial tree, and it's been planted already over on the green in front of the First Church. It will be noted with a plaque on the plaque in the community house that records such things, but we'll also have a marker on the ground that has been arranged by the Cemetery Association. The tree is a flowering Chanticleer pear, and that's similar to a Bradford pear. I have found out that it's not just a tree, it's a very special tree. There's a tree in New York City that is called the Survivor Tree. It's the only tree that was on the grounds of the World Trade Center to make it through. It had been burned. The leaves were, of course, all stripped, and most of the branches were gone too. But in the hope that the tree still had life, it was transported to a nursery, nursed back to health. It also survived being struck by lightning last year. It's my understanding that it was also kind of uprooted by the hurricane this summer that followed so much heavy rain that it couldn't stay in the ground, but it has been replanted. It is at the memorial in New York City. It is a cousin of the Chanticleer pear that we have here. I don't know if you have Bradford pears in your own yards, but if you do, you've lived with them every spring. If you don't, you have seen them around town, bursting into bloom, into plentiful white blossoms in the early spring. So that tree will be our reminder every spring when I believe it's the only Bradford pear type tree on the green, but it will be blossoming every spring, and all of you will know what it is, why it's here, and that it's surviving because it's a survivor tree, as we are Survivor Nation. This is not a fundraiser, but if anyone wants to make a donation so that you'll have a stake in the tree, we've got a box here for donations after we're through. And speaking of after we're through, we just about are. So I would, again, with everyone else, express my deep appreciation for everyone who has come today, for everyone who made it happen, for the scout troop who led us, the officers, and everyone who's here today. As we leave, under the direction of Kayla Werlin, Lyrics will offer a blessing. Thank you and farewell.